pulled that shit 4 times tonight. Now, the last 2 times, he just threw a rock and kept walking. Let me tell you, all the ideas that people have had. All right, there's people who tell me to go tell Cynthia. I try to tell Cynthia, but Cynthia doesn't have much time. Of course, she's also one of those folks who talks a lot. So the stuff that I was told to tell Cynthia and ask her, I did. I tried to give her my number, exchange numbers in case of emergencies. But she got to talking about her story and fucked up horror stories. I'm still living mine. I have no family who cares. So here's the thing. In order to turn in wolnez, my disabilities needed to be accommodated. Same thing with every predator before this. All I needed right after the crime was committed was a quiet place to write it down. And it helped me to turn it in. Instead, they take advantage of my disabilities, prevent me from doing for myself. Those disabilities include the abuse that I endure every single day. It is disabling to know you can't go to police officers because they will help your fucking predators, and so will your public pretender. So I was trying to tell Cynthia the other day, like Candy told me to do. And I tried to talk to Cynthia again. She tried. But a lot of people, if you're honest, a lot of people's first thing to think about or to do is to go straight for violence, and that goes for the majority of the people here. They tell me to spray them with the pepper spray. They tell me to call 911. What happens if I do? I literally have to scream and shout and curse at 911 for them to understand that there is a safety issue with the police, that I can't turn anything into the police for a reason. They will not accommodate. Neither will neither will Northwest Senior and Disability Service. So it doesn't matter that these people almost pretend to listen, but they've gotten sick of fucking hearing it. That's how much I'm abused, and not one of these goddamn people, not one of them, has taken the time to understand why it is that I am abused so often. They just blow me off like it's no big thing over and over again. That's the way it's always been. Now, Joe, him and Candy, they both listen pretty well, sort of. But the thing is that when she was going to talk with me, I needed her to do that before she started making a bunch of decisions for me. But she did. Her and her mom, they took it upon themselves to make some calls, which is great, except they didn't record them. And the lawyer tries to pretend that it's illegal for me to record. No, it's not. And he's saying, yeah, that would be illegal, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm recording for my safety because I have to. Because law enforcement and my friends and family, what happens? First time that we were going to talk one-on-one so that I wasn't stuck in public and a loud environment, so I could explain to you how being stuck in a loud environment, being overwhelmed by more than one person talking, and the most important thing, when somebody's being victimized, especially an at-risk adult, they're going to be afraid to speak. Okay, so the less you interrupt them, the less they have to be afraid. See, that's the thing, is that you went with me to that guy today. Well, with all these people at Safeway whose solution is violence, if I say anything like that, then I'm a horrible person. If I curse, I'm a horrible person. That's how it's treated. That's how it's viewed. That's how it's looked at. Meanwhile, I didn't start off cursing. I started off 14 months ago just here in Tillamook, trying to tell them nicely and calmly and collectively everything. I can't handle this. We've had to reschedule me getting to because of situations with you and what's going on with you, but also things that you wanted to do is what we did. I wanted you to see what all I have, how much of it there is, because it's important. Miguel's the one that picked up the pumpkins when then you were throwing them at me. All I can do is pace and wish that somebody would listen and take a look at how horrible this situation really is. Instead of taking advantage of me for being overwhelmed, actually understand why I'm overwhelmed. There's no autonomy in this. It's a bunch of other people either making decisions for me or talking over me. Now, you can make good decisions if you have the right information. But who has the right information? If you only look at one side, well, you got to deal with a lot of crooked people. I try telling John a little bit about what's going on because something about him reading a book is intimidating. Not to me, but to a lot of the predators. But all he ever does is talk about helping hands over and over and over again. And I tell him over and over and over again, I've tried the helping hands thing. And then he goes right back to it. And I'm going, what is going on here? I was trying to tell John about the abuse tonight. I tried to tell Christy, the nighttime manager lady who's here tonight. I tried to tell Paul. That way at least I'm letting somebody know, and maybe one of them will care. 2 hours of time talking to somebody that really, I need you to understand what's going on before we call anybody. There's a reason that I'm afraid to go to any of these services. There's a reason I'm afraid to go to the police. And when I have concern, Cynthia, she means well. But the thing is that the abuse that I'm going through requires somebody that I can help me turn it in right away, and it requires me to have someone that I can turn it into. So far, there's no law enforcement agency that hasn't already been involved in preventing me from being heard. That's why I need a friend or family member. A friend or family member, it's assumed, would know what's going on. Now, with you not being able to make it, that's not me hating you. I understand why you didn't. Same thing with many other people who literally just wasted all of my time, not intending to. Many of them intended well, many of them. When Cynthia brought me those shoes and that sweater, like, I've got enough stuff that I have to sort through in my vehicle, and she means well, but it's more stuff. What I could have really used is what you were recommending. That we exchange numbers. When I tried that a second time, she got into talking like she does and telling me her story again, and I'm taking abuse every day. And everybody's suggestions are violent. I like all of you. But when I'm being harmed, I have to be afraid that I have to wait 5 weeks, 11 weeks, 6 years, 7 years. See, that's the thing about having PTSD from people making decisions for you or rushing you through stuff, talking over you into a bubble that makes it all okay. Well, it's not okay. It's not okay that I'm being abused. It's not okay that wolnez threw rocks in my vehicle repeatedly tonight, and I had nobody to go to that was going to do anything other than say, I'm sorry that happened. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I could have shown you so that we didn't have to go unprepared for any of this. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that we were talked over. It's not my fault that you got sick. It's not my fault that you weren't able to make it. And it's not your fault either. But that makes me afraid. And when you make plans for me and I try to jump through those hoops, hoping you'll be able to listen. If I do that, will you listen? If I talk to Micah, will you listen? Well, I tried to talk to Micah for 2 hours. He just talked over me, dismissed what I was saying, telling me to jump through hoops that I've already tried. I wasn't comfortable going to that meeting. Being able to talk one-on-one with the person they're going to try to advocate for me. I'm not able to do those things. There's just too much. I cannot do those things, having to be afraid of the police and being fucked with by wolnez, and he's not the only person who fucks with me. I've gone to Molly here, Christine, who she has curly hair and glasses. She was a witness to at least part of the situation. The first video of wolnez, you can hear her saying no fighting. I wasn't trying to fight. I was trying to protect myself. I was trying to show what it is that I go through everywhere that I go, often and frequently. And when I'm overwhelmed to the point I can't communicate, that's because of long-term neglect and abuse. When I've just been harmed, it's not going to be easy for me to communicate, and it's going to be real easy to talk over me, which is what nobody does. There was a lady who, for 6 weeks, her name is Susan, here in Tillamook, for 6 weeks. She just never made it, never made it, never made it. Meanwhile, I was taking abuse nearly every day. I went to Krista at the Starbucks. Oh, Miriam was a witness to the first assault by wolnez as well. I don't care if you want my permission or not to record. I think everybody should have the right to record for their safety. Also, we do, especially when in public. The fact that I've been told it's inappropriate to talk about the abuse that I go through in public, and I'm literally stuck in public, and I'm told that it's my fault that people target me in public, that I chose to be a victim. Isn't that sweet? So here they are, they're closed. I'll probably be out of battery here shortly. I'm just going to get talked over and over again. Go to TFCC. Go to TCCHC. Did you call 911? Hey, stop. Stop. I've recorded situations, and I had to record them because I had no friends or family members. None. And you say, don't you have someone who can do this or someone who can do that? No. Nathan helped me to set up a card and a GoFundMe. Thank goodness. But I need help with all of that stuff. That's the thing about having disabilities, and nobody listens or understands why you have those disabilities or what they are or what that actually entails. One of the things that these people try to do is rush me through it all. Because if they rush me through everything, then I will make decisions that are not the right decisions. Of course, they're not informing me of anything. They're just trying to push me to do these things, knowing that it's unsafe for me to do so, knowing that it's just to run around. I've been recording how dirty this town is for 14 months, and dirty this town is for 14 months. And Hood River before here, and Hood River before here, and the Dalles, Oregon before that. And the Dalles, Oregon before that. There's a reason that I am for assisted suicide. Nobody's gonna listen. They make decisions for me. They don't stop to understand how unsafe that is. Then once they've made an unsafe decision, I basically have to go along with it in the hopes that if I jump through what they want me to, maybe they'll listen. That's what it'll take for me to jump through more hoops and more unsafe situations. I'm hiding over here because there's internet access and wolnez keeps messing with me.
I gotta go get that phone. See you tomorrow?
Alright, I'll see you tomorrow.
Alright.
Log up.
Yeah.
It's a business. I shouldn't be trapped at Safeway. And that is what it is. There's no place for me to go. I don't go running around hurting people. People hurt me a lot. And I'm not allowed to say anything about it. None of these people are evil. None of them are mean to me. Well, none of the people who work at Safeway anyway, none of them mean anything harmful by it. They just don't understand how vulnerable I am. Because I try to come in and maintain the best I can when I'm in Safeway. Miriam was a witness to the first assault by wolnez. I got them all recorded. That ain't true. I only got about maybe a quarter of them recorded. He just fucking keeps going by and doing it. It's not cool. I heard somebody kicking my vehicle earlier when I was plugging in my phone. Nothing I could do about it. Did I look back to see if it was wolnez again? Well, it's probably wolnez. Ain't no need to look back. I need to get a charge on my phone. I should have never been bullied into coming here. I should state that better. I should have never been bullied out of Nebraska. I never should have been bullied out of Colorado. I never should have been bullied in South Dakota. I never should have been bullied in Wyoming. I never should have been taken advantage of in any of these places. How about Bristol, Virginia? How about Abingdon, Virginia? Now, there's a lot of people who can vouch for this, a lot of people on the streets as well as, well, nearly everybody that you work with. That whole, are you wanting to hurt yourself or others thing, it's a trick question. If you answer it honestly, they pretend like you're the bad guy. How dare you want your life to end when people harm you and your family? How dare you think about harming others when they harm you and your family? Well, there's a cop in a hurry to go see somebody. But I have to be afraid to go to them. If I had a friend or family member, they'll talk over me and give me the mentally ill treatment. It makes it impossible. Looks like there's 3 cops cruising around now. Wonder what they're looking for. Hopefully not another missing person. So a lot of the people that work here, they can vouch for the fact that that's a trick question, that it's used to harm the victims, but it's used to make the victims out to be criminals or criminal-minded or insane. Meanwhile, if these things happen to their friends and family, how would they? What do? They talk about hurting people. When I ask them if it was your friends or family, how long would it take you to turn it in? They'd do it right away, but then again, they'd be informed. And when you don't take time to get informed, you make bad decisions. They get innocent people hurt. I didn't want to record anybody in this town. I didn't even want to know this town existed. There's a lot of people I like. The people at Safeway, the people at Starbucks, some of the people at the churches, some of the homeless people. But on my channel, it's got addict after addict after addict after addict. Yeah, those are the majority of the people who come and talk to me. So am I going to get a word in edgewise? How about with an alcoholic? No, not going to get a word in edgewise. When I first tried to get help from my friends and my family, all the way back in 2016, well, 2015 technically, when I hurt my back. And I had been disabled my entire life. People had taken advantage of me my entire life because I'm easy to talk over. I grew up in the system, knowing what happens if you speak up. But I got a lot more balls than most, so I speak up. I try not to drop unless it's absolutely necessary. I am scared shitless. It's not just Wolnez. It's also James Murphy. He was the one who stalked me here from Hood River. I told the folks at the Starbucks at Fred Meyer's about it, and a lot of the employees at Fred Meyer's about it. I told all of the Scudders about it. I tried telling Martinez about it at Tides of Change, but none of these places would accommodate my disabilities. They just tell me to call other places who tell me to call other places. They won't look at any of my paperwork. They want to send me on to somewhere else to have them redo my paperwork. Oh, well, let's get you diagnosed with something else by the friends of the officers that you're trying to turn in. Here, I got a great idea. Let's make a whole bunch of profit off of sending you to therapy in 4 different places. Oh, this is supposed to be a housing coordinator, and this is that coordinator. And next thing you know, every single one of these coordinators is talking over me, and they're not understanding that I've been abused out of every service in Nebraska. They were supposed to the abuse. I was supposed to get help so that I didn't have to do these things myself, and instead what happened, I ran through all of the hoops they told me to get disability, to try to get an advocate. And all they had me doing for an entire year and a half, almost a year and a half before Natalie was killed, was run around in circles for no goddamn reason. Without a friend or family member there, it doesn't work. Without them understanding that it is a severe safety issue, it doesn't work. You know, Miriam is one of the people that brought a lot of the drugs that I found here too. Like the needles, the pills. I don't want them. And I know that getting on YouTube is a risky business. It puts everyone at risk. And that's the point of taking it seriously, is that the police are going to work 10 times harder and they've got an unlimited budget. It's not that they're, well, that motivated, but when there's prison at stake, yeah, they're pretty well motivated. I don't have the funding that they have, and they know it. I can hardly get a charge on my phone to stay, and they know it. Joe's offered to let me charge up my phone while he's on break and stuff, and it doesn't charge it up much. When we make a 2-hour phone call to Micah, it's damn near impossible to replace that electricity on my phone. Some people have been nice enough to charge up some external batteries and let me use them, but they don't make it so that I can record 24/7. I have to be afraid 24/7, and most of all at night when I'm alone. People are fucking dead, goddammit. Stephanie Van Steen, how do we help you turn in wolnez? Well, you've seen the videos of me being assaulted, right? Get a hold of the Department of Justice and the Governor's Advocacy Agency. Write a letter to Governor Tina Kotek, not that she'll listen. Explain that I'm being abused here, that I never wanted to come to Oregon except to try to help find some friends that were missing. That's what I came here for. I came here because David and Katie Saltzman are still missing. They were trying to help me to turn in the predators. Instead, they disappeared. That was in 2019. That was the same year that people got a hold of me on 3 different occasions to threaten, 2 different occasions to threaten to kill me because Alicia Bollinger disappeared again. You can help to turn in wolnez by, well, you see my game tag, right? Dogged Roman. Just add at gmail.com. I can send you my phone number and that, and we can talk like people. My predators call me from restricted numbers and unlisted numbers, so I don't answer those. And a lot of people who promise to help would only call from those. How am I supposed to tell one from the other? I just get tossed over. These safety issues are treated as if they're no big thing and it's an easy fix, like I have unlimited funds. And I don't. Anyway, Stephanie Van Steen, you can call it in and explain that there is a safety issue and I can't turn it in to any law enforcement agency in Tillamook. I've tried. I got to show a lady here some of the evidence with how police officers tried to have me die with schizophrenia and it didn't work. They tried to accuse me of being a druggie and it didn't work. They repeatedly told hospitals that I was schizophrenic, injected me with drugs, and it didn't work. And the lady I was making this video for, she got to see that part. She also got to read the messages between me and Natalie Bollinger, and she said pretty much the same exact thing as Mandy Singer, the same thing as Shannon Alvarado. All the women who read it and all the men who read it tell me the same thing. Dude, she was in love with you and you're an idiot. You should have seen that. You don't reject a woman like that. You had no idea what you were doing. That fucking doesn't matter, does it? No, I didn't have any clue that she was still in love with me. Her and her sister both treated me the same. Does that mean that her sister was in love with me too? Meanwhile, her sister's the one that ate up most of my time. She's the one that got to see me every single day, one-on-one. She used to call me over the whole time I was in Virginia. She was calling me over because she worked at Cricket store. She'd call me over for cigarette breaks. She'd call me over for her lunch breaks. She gave me a phone for my birthday. She gave it to me a couple days early. And that phone was the source of the majority of the issues I had. She promised to show me how to use it, and she never did. She changed my phone number over so that it was in her name. And then any of the number, they couldn't get back a hold of me. It was after I had a panic attack in Virginia while severely dehydrated and separated from my support network. Well, look what happened. Stephanie Van Steen typed, sending you an email soon, maybe in a half hour. Yes, ma'am. I won't likely have a charge in a half an hour. My phone is probably, well, it's down to 3%. There's a lot of people who get onto my Facebook and YouTube and pretend like they care. And the most horrible thing is whether or not I've been fed. Whether or not I'm getting my ass whooped every day, that doesn't seem to be much of a priority. Now, this lady who's trying to help, it's the same thing kind of with Susan. Susan was pretty gung-ho about it, but she has her own health issues, and I have to be mindful of those. Now, with Susan, she was a witness to a lot of the situations, to the fact that I was trying to get help. But again, I have my disabilities as well. For me, having to walk from my vehicle to the Safeway is excruciating. My phone is about to die. Let's hope I can get it plugged in fast enough for it not to. I doubt it. I seem to be not so good at it. Because my hand isn't very good. And I can barely see the outlet. When John told me to use this outlet, he's the one that informed me of it. A couple other people who, 1% battery, that was close. The battery thing is super. Cynthia was hopefully going to be that. Turn off my, well, I really can't. It's unsafe for me to do so. And just see Wolnez today. I also saw Chris Staffy and I saw Candace. That's not easy to come by. You know, I shouldn't be out here taking care of druggies' kids. But that's how she was able to get me to spend $400 in like 1 month just to make sure her and her son were fed. See, everywhere that I go, whether it be Denny's or Fred Meyer's or here, it doesn't matter that I'm telling the truth or that there's plenty of evidence. The cops don't want to look at it. I'm a hobo. I'm trash as far as they can see it. And as much time and money as they can waste of mine, the better off they're going to be because, well, that's the thing. I can't turn these crimes into the local police. As far as Wolnez goes, maybe if he gets to 1,000 views, he'll leave me alone and bitch at his YouTube. Who knows? What I do know is that I can't stop this abuse alone. I can't keep anyone's name safe because I have to worry about myself, my friends and family too. And this is going on every single day. I tell you, I get abused every day. You don't record abuse? Well, I'm not able to record abuse when my phone. As far as all of the things that all these people want to tell me how to do, I'm not able to do those things for myself. I'm not able to magic up a knowledge of how to use all this internet stuff. Meanwhile, the cops, they like to pretend that because people helped me to set up a YouTube channel, that it means that I'm good at every goddamn thing on the computer and always was and so on and so forth. Well, that's not the case. I have to get help with literally everything. And people have helped me to get a GoFundMe started. I can't make it work, but whatever. I've got hundreds of people on my channel recorded talking about hurting people, talking about killing people, talking about the horrible things that they would do to somebody. But what would you do if an innocent man came to you for help because people were hurting him? People were beating on his vehicle. It's violent, horrible. And I'm not supposed to be afraid. I don't have my own place to plug in. Just being able to plug in my phone. Who have they been and what have they actually done? So when being abused, the first support plan that I had when I was being abused before Natalie's death was to go to my friends and family for help. including Kayla Trujillo. After Natalie's death, we kind of formalized that I would go to Kayla Trujillo, but Kayla Trujillo didn't have the time to do anything except talk over me. It doesn't start off with me worry this much. When I first moved, I can tell that I'm disabled. They prey on it and they play on it, and the evidence shows that. That them refusing to do their jobs is the reason that I'm being harmed. Reported talking about the officers and what they've done, not just to me, but also to others. If you go back to October of last year on my channel, you get to see the situation with, go back to September of last year. You get to see the first interaction with the cops here. It was nice, but they didn't investigate anything. They didn't fucking care. Round in circles where I got to write it down before they can investigate. Well, excuse, because there's an emergency right fucking now. You can investigate now. They've shown that they can do that. They'll look at evidence immediately for others. For me, it becomes them trying to wiggle their way out of doing their fucking job. So I have to stay up most of the night because Wolnez will do this until 2 or 3 in the morning. I think the latest he's done it is like 3 in the morning. But he's done it as early as 6 a.m. You know, I don't get much sleep. And it's because of abuse and because of the nightmares of this abuse. You know what the biggest nightmare is? Asking people for help and hoping they won't be dismissive or make decisions for you. Stephanie Van Steen, I can send you the evidence with Wolnez. It shows that I was speaking up. I spoke up all along, all the way since before Natalie was killed, I spoke up. There's the videos where people are calling me the N-word. You can listen to those. A lot of them I'm bitching about people who claim to be my friends, who promised that they'd help, promised they'd listen, and all they'd ever do is talk over me, so they know nothing about the situation. I'd like to go to Cynthia for help so that she could go in with me. And, you know, there's at least 10 people here who work at the Safeway who have seen the abuse against me, and people who used to work here. People like Miriam. There's also people that I was to if I'm being abused, like Krista, lady at the Starbucks, Krista, and then there's Christine, and then there's Miguel, and then there's Kristen. You know, some of the time when I found drugs here, I took them to Barb. And then there's Rihanna, and she's real nice. Nearly all of them either say they're sorry it happened, or they talk about how they'd shoot somebody or beat somebody to death. Or they say, oh, I'll go have a talk with them. But having a talk with them, how long is that? Will take advantage of me. That is inhumane. How is it? So a lot of these people, they have good ideas for me going back to places I've already been over and over again, but I had to go in. That's why I have to turn these places in, because I was forced to go in alone when I needed help turning in abusers. When I say I think it sucks that I literally have to curse and scream at the top. Or I think might be Portuguese. I don't know what it says, and I don't know how to make it translate. So there's that. Yeah, it doesn't give me the ability to translate it into English. Everything that I do, no matter what, it's wrong. And that's why it's horrible not being treated like a human being. What they had in common is not coming through time after listening. When they dismiss everything that you say by telling a story about themselves, you don't get much accomplished. And then later on they say, well, why didn't you tell me this and why didn't you tell me that? Where am I going to find the time? And these people who didn't listen and set up appointments or made decisions without me, most of them didn't intend on doing wrong things. Most of them didn't realize how wrong it was because they hadn't taken a look yet. Me not having access to power. Me literally having to curse and scream to get heard. Me having to go hide in Safeway because nobody's going to help me to turn in my predators. They'll just let me temporarily have a reprieve before I have to go back out into it again and take the abuse all over again. There's a lot of people who don't understand the safety issues that I have. I've got my phone only to 9% battery. That's not going to withstand much. The Safeway is closed, so I have to travel to my car and pee in a cup or a bottle of some sort if I can dig one out. Just walking from here to my car is excruciating. I don't get out of my car unless I have to because it is excruciating. If I walk too much, I can't move for days. And I've been forced to walk too much. There's no safe place for me to go. What am I to do? Just stay outside of Safeway every day. Go hide inside every day until all of my evidence is stolen. And that's the only way to describe it. When a person has fought so hard to try to get someone to look at it and to speak up with them. There's hundreds of recordings on my channel of witnesses to abuse that should have spoken up but never did. It was always excuse after excuse after excuse. Well, they can't do it now, but they will, but they will, but they will, but they will. Meanwhile, what do they want to do? If we talk to each other, because they promise to help me, they talk over me and tell me how they're too busy, they're too busy, they're too busy. I try to explain about my health problems so they understand what my disabilities are. That way they can actually advocate. Now, I've paid a lot of money to people, bought a lot of electronic devices. Why do you think I'm fucking broke? Do you think I spend all my money on fucking crack and booze? Do you think it's because I'm spending it all on fucking prostitutes? Now that my car is broken, that puts me in an even more vulnerable situation because I can't walk to all these places. Before that, the issue was never having enough gas and nobody to go in with me. A lot of people said that they would, but they didn't. Or, of course, there's a situation where we had to try to turn something in a different way. Or there's situations like with Alexander. Yeah, he was going to try to turn it in while I was having to collect my stuff at the place that I was at. Yeah, I had my stuff in that garage for 3 days, and every day my stuff got fucked with. These are the people that I was sent to by Brian. He was living there. And I was sent to Brian by Nicole Vertner of the Seventh Adventist Hospital and Church. I take this abuse every single day. Now I've got less than 10% battery on this phone. I'm not going to apologize. You're going to hear a tinkling sound. On the bright side, I have my stuff set up in a manner where you see my winky dink. You like how I said that? Yeah, I gotta pee in a bottle. Because there ain't no bathroom that I can fucking walk to. There's no way in hell. This is what I was afraid of with my car, was not having a safe place, was not having a friend, with having to move over and over and over again, getting bullied into it because nobody would look at evidence, not one friend. When I finally did get people to look at just a small part of it, they made bad decisions. Forcing me to go public about it, that's a bad decision. The police regret that decision, don't they? They're trying to remedy it right now. When I had to try to talk to the DA, I got to see my attorney. When I got bullied at one of the windows, my public pretender now was down the hall. I've seen the guy plenty of times before. I do not like him. He doesn't care if I'm abused or not. He's doing everything that he can to try to intimidate me out of turning in the police or speaking up about the abuse. Trying to pretend it has nothing to do with me having to call and literally fucking curse them out and hang up on them over and over and over again. Isn't that what they want to claim? Well, unfortunately for them, it wasn't over and over and over again. And I did explain why I was calling the way that I was. I'm trying to get fucking heard. And I'm trying to make sure that it's video recorded or audio recorded. And preferably both. When you call 911, the call is recorded. But getting those recordings is fucking impossible. When you're broke, you got to come up with money for all this shit that they're making you jump through. And the evidence. Meanwhile, they have unlimited access, and they can pull out little bits and pieces as they want to. That's not fucking okay. And anybody who would even try to fucking prosecute this is a malicious prosecutor. Unfortunately, my public pretender is the one who's a malicious prosecutor. I understand that there's people who get sick. I understand that, but the courts are only going to understand that you didn't keep your word because you were sick. If you tell them that you were sick, especially when they try to pretend that everything that I say is some schizophrenic goddamn nut job bullshit. When I tell you I got it recorded, well, then I need you to get a look at the fact that it's recorded. I did record it. It's not a figment of my imagination. It's not a delusion. Wolnez is a very real person. So is Officer Lothman. So is Officer Waylon Lolatai of Boulder, Colorado. My predators are very real people. And everybody who works for the government is a bad person. Every one of them. Because they don't care about your safety. They care about getting their paycheck and their benefits and going home to their nice, cozy, whatever it is that they have. Without a friend or family member there, these places are going to break the law repeatedly. And then they're going to play stupid when I try to turn them in. That's the problem with turning them into themselves. They play fucking stupid. All of them. TFCC, TCCHC, police departments nationwide. They prey on that mentally ill tag. That's their bread and butter. Oh, you're abused and we can call you mentally ill. Well, that magically means you're not being abused and we can abuse you. That's how they all work. All of them. Every fucking officer looks at you that way when you're a homeless male. Every judge looks at you with contempt. And they speak down to you with contempt.